Hello, Pisces, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We're looking at all three sides of it. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story. So looking at your perception, your version of the truth, their perception, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section really looking at what is the purpose of this connection and what is the best way to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As always, I've gone ahead and pulled the overall energy for the reading and clarified those messages, but I have 3 different tarot decks that we'll be using for each side of the connection. Well, 1 tarot deck for each side, 3 in total, that I already have shuffled, as well as the advice deck that I'll be using in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do remember to take what resonates and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, these energies can be swapped. So if you resonate more with the energy to my right than to my left, or if you're a cross watcher then vice versa, just know that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point of these readings is for you to take what helps and leave what does not. All right, Pisces, on your side of this connection, you were right out the gate with some stressful energy here. You have Stormy with the 9 of Swords. I feel like this connection has really been putting you through it. It feels like if you look at this heart, oh my gosh, just throw this at you. You look at this heart with all these swords. It's like your heart is behind the swords. Like, I don't know, like this connection has caused you to kind of like block off your heart a little bit. Why am I just throwing this card everywhere? Because of how intense it's been. Because with this Stormy, I don't think it obviously has not been smooth sailing, right? And I feel like it's put you kind of in this, I don't necessarily know if it's like a defensive position or a position of feeling like you need to protect yourself, but I do feel like it's been very challenging for you on many different levels. And I don't necessarily know how or in what way yet, but on this person's side of the connection, they have shift with the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. I feel like this person kind of shifted their energy towards you, like maybe out of nowhere or maybe in a way that you weren't expecting. And I feel like they went from, wanting to be a teammate in this connection or wanting to make this work to like not, or they were never quite able to be a teammate with you. Like this 3 of Pentacles in reverse, I'm kind of saying is like not being a teammate, like not, I don't know. It's like they kind of went from being like on your team to like you versus them in a way. So we'll see what that's all about. I definitely feel like that's been some challenging energy for you to work through. Just that shift that kind of feels like, I don't necessarily know if it came out of nowhere or if it was like gradually over time, but like the final shift kind of came out of nowhere. It feels like, I don't know. It feels, I don't necessarily know if blindsided is the right word, but it kind of feels like it caught you off guard for sure. Now, in the truth of this connection, this was interesting because you have the Hierophant with knowledge. Now, both of these cards to me, like this to me is like wisdom, lessons to learn, perspective. And I feel like there's a lot to be learned from this connection. And what is learned from this connection can help you move you forward toward the loving relationships in your life that are really truly meant for you. I don't know. It just feels like this person like went from being like on your team to not on your team. That's the best way to describe it. Like being for you to being against you. Not that they're like against you. I feel like they're more for themselves than anything, and that has affected you greatly. But let's see what it is that you're dealing with. So let's start with Pisces side of this connection, Stormy with the 9 of Swords. This is for Pisces side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. This is for Pisces side of this connection, please. This is for Pisces side of this connection. Stormy with the 9 of Swords. What is Pisces dealing with on their side? Ooh, 9 of Wands with the 3 of Swords in reverse. And Knight of Cups in reverse. So this has been very triggering. I feel like it's triggered a lot of your insecurities, a lot of your limiting beliefs about love. Because it feels like right now, like again, I just keep saying this heart. Like this is your heart, and like this is what this connection has done to it. Like it's put these swords in your heart. It's put you kind of behind put your heart kind of behind this wall, if you will. And I just feel like it's almost like you're trying to work through a lot of the pain that was caused in this connection. But with the Nine of Wands, I don't know, it just feels like you're really on guard because of this connection, either because of it or toward it or both. And I feel like that's because of how things kind of went down in this connection, because maybe you opened your heart up and this is what happened to it. And now you're having a hard time maybe making sense of it or even just like working through it. And it kind of feels like you're stuck in some pretty painful energy when it comes to it here, Pisces. Even if you like want to be moved on, you're definitely having a hard time doing that. This Pisces side of this connection. This Pisces side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Pisces side of the connection, please. Four of Cups with the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. And then you have the Three of Pentacles upright. Okay. The Seven of Pentacles in reverse to me is an energy of needing to reevaluate what you've been investing in and ultimately why. Because I feel like, again, with the Four of Cups and kind of the Hierophant here, like there's like this perspective, like something that needs to be brought to the surface about this connection. Because with the Three of Pentacles, you've tried to be this person's teammate. I feel like you've tried to be on their side. You've tried to help them in tremendous ways. And it was like they never were there for you as much as you were there for them, or they never showed up for you as much, or they never did as much for you, or they never, like, it's not even like lack of reciprocation. It's just like lack of, it doesn't even to me speak of bare minimum. It feels like nothing. Like it feels like they kind of gave you a whole lot of nothing, or like left you in the dust or something. And but with this need to kind of reevaluate what it is that you, or like why it is that you invested in this, or why you're so committed to investing in this, even though they don't show up for you the way that you are willing to show up for them. I feel like will help you get to a point of being able to fully heal, because that's what I feel like you're in. I feel like you're in a healing phase from this connection right now. I think this connection is over. I think this is a past connection that is still currently affecting you. But it just feels like you really wanted to be their partner, their teammate, their person. And it's like they might have told you they wanted those things, but it's like they never showed up or did those things. This is Pisces side of this connection. One more. This is Pisces side of this connection to the person they're dealing with here. This is Pisces side of this connection. The Knight of Pentacles with the Ace of Wands in reverse, and then there's that Nine of Swords right there with the Six of Swords in reverse and the Death in reverse. Okay. And then the Hierophant in reverse, which we're dealing with right there, just kind of like shift in perspective. So I feel like you invested in this connection a lot over time. Like it's not like you were expecting immediate returns, or you were expecting this person to like, I don't do anything like unreasonable. Like I feel like you were just looking for them to be, I don't even know if you were necessarily looking for anything from them here, Pisces. I feel like maybe you obviously wanted love and you wanted to build a partnership with them, but I feel like it wasn't like you were trying to get something out of them. You were literally just trying to build a connection with them. But any kind of sustainable connection takes two, right? It takes two people, no matter the situation, to build a healthy, sustainable connection. And it's like you were willing to invest and do what you needed to on your side, but this person never met you there. And that happened, again, I feel like that kind of happened like over time in a way. And it's like you were waiting for things to change. You're waiting for like what you invested to be enough, almost like quote unquote enough. Like it's like you were waiting for this person to maybe see your value, or waiting for them to not be so busy, or waiting for them to, I don't know. It's like you were waiting for things to change here, and they never did. In fact, I feel like they actually got worse. I feel like the shift in their energy actually made things worse. And you're still dealing with being very stuck on this connection because, again, I feel like you feel like you've done everything you can. You've put into this as much as you knew how, and you're very stuck on it because you're like, well, I don't really know what to do now. Because you didn't ever want this connection to change. You didn't want it to end. Even if it was your decision, you didn't want it to end. Even if it hasn't ended yet, you don't want it to end, right? You want things to work out. But it feels like the more that you invest and the more that you're met with them not investing, the more this Nine of Swords starts to take over. It's like these fears and these insecurities about what it is that you are deserving of in love, the happiness that you are deserving of and capable of having. It's like this connection really brings those to the surface because there's a lot going on below the surface. This is a lot more than just you're giving and not receiving. This is like you have this, unconditional love for this person. And I feel like you're wondering why they don't see you through the same lens that you see them. Now, I don't necessarily know if they don't or if they're not capable of it. Because those are two different things, right? We can't hold people accountable. Well, I mean, we can always hold people accountable, actually. That's not what I meant to say. We can't get upset for people not giving us what we deserve when they're incapable of it. Now, that doesn't mean we have to tolerate it. That doesn't mean that we have to accept that bare minimum or even accept that person into our life. But it does mean that we have to understand that it has nothing to do with us and it has everything to do with the depth that they're capable of, right? All right, Pisces side of this connection. This is Pisces side of this connection. So there's the Hierophant. So what needs to be learned here is this is a pretty big cycle for you. With the Lovers in reverse, it's almost like you're having this connection is pointing out where you don't see your worth. Not that you don't know what you're deserving of, but it's like you're not seeing your worth, and it's hard specifically in this connection. And so this connection is bringing to the surface a lot with the moon here, a lot of these deep-seated fears. And I feel like, if we were able to just like know who we are and what we're deserving of and not second guess that whatsoever, which, obviously the point of healing is to get to a point where we do know our worth and we stand for nothing less than what it is that we're deserving of. But it's hard and it takes a lot to get there. But if we were able to know what we're deserving of and accept absolutely nothing less than that without the fear that if we don't sacrifice our worth, that we're going to lose something important or that we're going to lose something that is necessary for our happiness or our survival, then our life would be very different, right? We would only invest in connections that see our value. We would only invest in people that invested in us. We would only ever receive the love that we give. But a lot of our own inability to see our own value because we've, of certain experiences that we've had in life, in childhood and in past relationships, and even in this current one that you're dealing with, have in a way taught us that we aren't deserving and that we're not valuable and that we do have to accept bare minimum to get anything at all, because at least you're getting something, right? And that belief has kind of followed you, I feel like, in a lot of your other relationships, and specifically throughout like this lifetime. I feel like it's been a pretty big lesson for you to know that the relationships that you invest in, if they don't see your worth, it has nothing to do with your worth, but the fact that they don't see their own worth, and therefore they're going to project their own insecurities and fears and all of that onto you and kind of make it your problem. And I feel like you've had a tendency to pick up that burden and carry it in addition to your own insecurities and fears. So what I'm getting at is I do feel like this is a really big cycle for you, and there's a lot to be learned here, but there's a need to shift your perspective on this connection a little bit, because I feel like you're looking at this connection as almost like the only chance for you to be happy, or the only chance for you to be loved. And if this person doesn't love you, then you're never going to be loved, or something like that. And we all have a tendency to make someone special, right, in our own mind. And when we make someone special, we then have a tendency to place them above us. And so their needs and their place in our life become more important than what it is that we are ultimately deserving of. And I feel like that's kind of what is happening here. Now, oftentimes I get comments on my channel when I talk about that saying, oh, well, that's a very selfish viewpoint. I can't always put myself first, because then I can't be there for other people. And it's actually the other way around. Putting yourself first and standing up for your own needs, and, investing in relationships that invest in you, filling your cup up first, all of that is actually the most selfless thing that you can do. You can only love, care about, and show up for this world, and specifically other people, to the extent that you do that for yourself first. If your cup is not filled, you do not have the ability to give to this world in the way that you were meant to. And the more that you allow people and situations to drain your cup and to take from you, the less you are able to show up for the people that need you, right? And sometimes we can feel like the people that need us are the people that drain us, but that's not always the case, right? We have to learn to decipher unconditional love from unconditional tolerance, and understand that we cannot take on the burden of other people's healing journeys. We cannot take on the burden of other people's traumas and baggage and burdens, because the more that we do that, the less that our own healing journey becomes a priority, which means we are then trying to heal ourselves through healing someone else, but that never works out, because no one is ever able to heal someone else. So you're not actually healing that person, and then your healing is not being done as well. And so when we do that, we feel like it's selfish to take our power back and to stand up for ourselves and to put our own needs first. But in reality, that is the most selfless thing that we can do for ourselves and for this world. Just a little snippet there that I felt I needed to share. All right, Pisces side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Pisces side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. You've pushed a lot down. A lot of I feel like the frustration and the even anger or sadness that this connection has brought to your life, I feel like you've suppressed a little bit, and you certainly have not spoken up about it with the Page of Swords in reverse. I feel like you've been very quiet about the way that this connection has affected you, or specifically maybe when it was together. I don't know what this is. I have something right here. Specifically when this connection was together, it feels like you were not very vocal about what it was that you needed. Now, I do feel like that's because you were afraid of losing the connection, so that makes plenty of sense. But I also feel like there's a need to see that actually did both yourself and the other person a disservice, because I feel like that, when we don't speak up about our own needs in connections, and we suppress our feelings, and we try to carry on, and we try to continue to invest out of hopes that things change, what happens is that, first and foremost, things never change. And secondly, they usually actually start to get a little bit worse, because what you're doing is you're setting the stage for the dynamic of the connection, and you're saying, this is what I'm willing to accept. I'm willing to accept this behavior. I'm willing to accept this treatment. I'm willing to accept this bare minimum. And that the other person on a subconscious level says, okay, I don't ever have to give anything more to Pisces, because they're willing to accept what I have given so far. And so when we don't speak up about what it is that we need, where there's a part of us that's hoping that things will change, but we're actually not allowing things to change by holding back from what it is that we need to say, or the boundary that we need to set, or whatever the case is. So something to keep in mind here. All right. This is for Pisces side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. This is for Pisces side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. This is for Pisces side of this connection. I do feel like you're working on moving forward from this. The Eight of Pentacles and the Six of Swords. So that's good. I feel like it's still, you might be like, oh, this connection's over and done with. Like, I don't even care about that person anymore. I feel like a lot of what happened and what has transpired in this connection, even if this connection is over, is still affecting you. And if you don't close out this cycle or recognize how this was a cycle or the role that you played in this, because that's the hard part of healing, right? Is having to recognize the role that we played in our own suffering, even if we were a victim in a situation. We have to, unless you do that, you're going to repeat this in other relationships or connections or in other areas of your life. And so there's a need. It's like you might not want to have to face this connection anymore. You might want to just be done with it. Maybe you don't, but I do feel like there is some things that are needing to be learned or a perspective that's needing to be gained in order for you to move forward and break this cycle and this pattern that has existed, I feel like, in other connections of your life as well. And this connection in particular just brings it out more than others have. All right, let's look at this person's energy towards you, Pisces. This person's energy toward Pisces, please. This is this person's energy toward Pisces. This person's energy toward Pisces, please. So there's that Four of Cups. That's so interesting because those are the first two cards you have with the Five of Swords. Okay, Ten of Pentacles in reverse. This person is got a bit of a victim mentality. Doesn't make them a bad person, but I feel like they do have a tendency to struggle to see the role that they've played in their own suffering, right? Which we've kind of talked about on your side too. But I do feel like what's a good way to look at this? You ask someone time and time again, like this is not what happened, but this is like the example of this energy. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this. This isn't what happened in this connection. This isn't the storyline, but this is the energy. Say you're in a friendship with someone and you tell someone, or let's say a relationship, that'll be easier. You're in a relationship with someone and you tell them over and over, I need you to do these things. I need you to, show up for me. Or say they constantly show up to dates late. And it drives you crazy because to you, it makes you feel like you're more of a burden than a priority. It makes it feel like they don't care. And it goes deeper than just the fact that they don't have time management skills, right? So they show up to dates late, and I'm talking 15, 20, 30 minutes late, not just running a few minutes late kind of thing. They keep showing up late. And you tell them, I need you to show up on time. It means a lot to me. It's really important to me. This is the way that I feel when it happens. And they keep not showing up. And then you end the relationship because you're like, I kept telling you that this is what I needed and you didn't. You never showed up for me. And obviously if there's a problem in this area, it probably spills in other areas of the connection. But then this person turns around and says, oh, well, Pisces left me. She just broke up. They just broke up with me for no reason. And that's the victim mentality I'm talking about. It's they don't, you say, it's like they've done these things to you that have caused you to then respond, but then they turn around and they feel like the victim, right? I've been there. I've been this person who has a tendency to play the victim, but I do feel like they're in this Three of Swords energy about this connection. I feel like they do feel like they're not happy with how things are, but at the same time, I don't feel like they're doing a whole lot of soul searching as to the role that they played and why things ended up transpiring the way that they did. Especially because I feel like it was their energy shift that caused this connection to get to the place that it did. So I do feel like they're a little bit playing the victim. And that's just where they need to be right now, right? This person's energy toward Pisces. This person's energy toward Pisces, please. See, they didn't want things to change in this either. With the Death in reverse. This is a very mirrored connection. These two energies definitely mirror each other quite a bit. They didn't want things to deal or to change in this connection either, but I also feel that it goes back to the fact that they're not really taking accountability for the role they played. It's like they're upset that things happened, but they're not really looking at how they their actions also kind of led to this. And I feel like that is like the judgment, like the need to see the truth, right? And so I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like this person lacks a little bit of accountability. And I feel like that's been very challenging for you because I don't see, you're like, I don't see how you could lack accountability because I've told you exactly what I needed, or I set these boundaries, or maybe you didn't set boundaries, but I don't know. It just feels like there's a quite a giant lack of communication between these two individuals here. Um, because I feel like you weren't communicating because you wanted to, you didn't want to cause any problems, or you didn't want to lose this person, but then that communication led to them not really understanding, quote unquote, what they did wrong, even though it's kind of obvious. And to you, you're like, well, they should know. They should know what they did wrong, or they should know how they hurt me or something. But then it's like to them, they're just like, I don't know. They just kind of in that victim mentality a little bit. Okay. This person's energy, toward Pisces, please. This person's energy toward Pisces. Look at that. Same Ace of Cups in reverse. We've seen so many of the same cards with the Six of Cups. I feel like they've kind of, it's the opposite. It's like you've suppressed the way that this connection has hurt you, and they've suppressed how much they actually wanted this to work. I feel like I feel like this person has a bit of a negative view on connections or on relationships a little bit. I don't know why or where that stems from, but I feel like they definitely like go into relationships or connections like with a expectation that it's going to end, or the expectation that they can't trust anyone or something. Like they have kind of like a negative view on them. Because of their past. Six of Cups here. And so I feel like they put, and that I feel like is a lot of the burden that was put on you, is like they have this baggage that they've been carrying from their past, and they put that kind of in this connection, and then you obviously couldn't bear that any longer. But I do feel like with the Nine of Pentacles, like I do feel like they wanted this to work, and it's not that they didn't care, it's not that they didn't like have love for this connection. I just feel like it feels a little bit like immaturity, to be honest. But I also feel like I don't know. Let me get more. This person's energy toward Pisces. This person's energy toward Pisces, please. This person's energy toward Pisces, please. There's that Three of Swords in reverse. I think you and this person are actually way more on the same page than you realize. And what I mean by that is like, it's almost like you feel very similarly about this connection, like in a way. With the Three of Swords, because there's been a lot of mirrored energy. Like a lot of the same cards have come out for them that have for you. So they're kind of in a healing phase of this connection too. Let me get more on this Three of Swords in reverse for this person's energy toward Pisces. Yeah, because they saw this connection as something they wanted long term with the Ten of Cups. I feel like this connection, so they saw this potential in the Ten of Cups, and that pushed them really outside of their comfort zone, which made them uncomfortable, which put them in this Emperor in reverse energy, this feeling like they had to control it. So I do feel like maybe this person struggles with being vulnerable, and this connection makes them feel vulnerable, or it tests their vulnerability. And so that they might have like sabotaged it or ran from it or something because they didn't know how to face that because of their own limiting beliefs about love that exists from their past. But I don't necessarily feel like you can change this person's mind either. I do feel like this person is pretty stubborn and set in their ways. like this, the way that they look in this, it's like arms crossed, like just like, I'm not changing my mind. Like that's how I kind of feel like they're, like the energy that they're in right now. Again, I do get a twinge of immaturity kind of coming from them. This person's energy toward Pisces. This person's energy toward Pisces, please. So that victim, like, oh, okay, hang on. That's different. That's not the same because the Five of Swords upright spoke of victim mentality. This is speaking of something different. This is speaking of like a them against the world mentality, like a defensive mentality, this feeling like they have to protect themselves. And with this Page of Wands, it definitely stems from their childhood. They have certain feelings or expectations of love that they feel like they have to, it's like they have to avoid it because it's scarier for them to invest in it than it is to lose it. Or if they don't invest in it, they don't ever lose it, right? So I feel like that's ultimately why they never really invested in this or became or like gave to this like you did, is because I feel like they, in a backwards way, were trying to protect themselves, even if they like, because remember, 95% of our movement, choices, and decisions stems from our subconscious. Only 5% of the way that we interact with our reality is conscious. So 95% of them could be saying, I really want to make this work with Pisces, but then 5% of them could be, I really want to make this work with Pisces. But then 95% of them is like, oh, well, remember all of those times that you got hurt, and remember how your mother treated you, and remember how love always fails and how it always ends in devastation. And so they act in accordance with that 95%, as opposed to that 5% of them that wants things to work. And that's typically where, you know, we kind of get into the conversation of self-sabotage and things of that nature. So I really don't feel like this person meant to hurt you, Pisces. Even if it like super seems like they did, I don't feel like they did. I feel like they're hurting, and hurt people. And I feel like they don't know how to be what it is that you need. And I feel like that's where it's like you can have so much, you know, love and empathy for this person, but that does not mean that you have to tolerate all that they are capable of showing up with you for you with, right? You don't have to tolerate that. You have needs that you deserve to have met. And just because this person struggles to meet them does not mean that you need to be so understanding of that you don't expect them to be met. If this person can't meet you where you need to be met in terms of, you know, an emotional capacity or a, you know, in a sense of vulnerability, then you've got to set a boundary and say, that is what I need, or I cannot invest in this connection in the same way anymore. This person's energy toward Pisces. This person's energy toward Pisces, please. High Priestess, Fool, Wheel of Fortune in reverse, Sun in reverse. Okay. And there's that Lovers in reverse. See, we talked about how you felt undeserving of love. They also do. But in a different way. I feel like your sense of feeling undeserving keeps you looking for love from people that aren't capable of providing it, and their sense of being undeserving is always running from it when it's provided to them. And so whether or not you realize it, you and this person mirror each other quite a bit. Definitely chaser runner dynamic here. But I feel like you're needing to see that, first and foremost, there's nothing you can do to change this person's actions towards you. You cannot love somebody into loving themselves and learning how to accept love. You can love someone into creating a space for them to heal, but they have to be willing to heal and take accountability and grow too, right? It cannot just be that it cannot and will not be your burden to bear anymore. You set your foot down. Because they're dealing with their own stuff, and obviously you have your own need for healing too, right? You're not feeling deserving of love and therefore looking for it from people who are incapable of providing it. But that's where we get into because there's that Hierophant again. But that's where we get into the realm of needing to understand that we cannot heal other people. We can be a you know, again, a source of love for people to heal themselves, but we cannot heal other people. And if we're trying to heal other people, that's most likely because we are trying to avoid doing the healing ourselves. It's a difficult or tricky cycle that we can get stuck in. All right, Pisces, I'm going to hop on over to the extended. Again, looking at the truth of this connection. What is the purpose of this connection? And what is the best way to move forward in alignment with your higher self? I'm going to pull 9 different messages, and then I have an advice card to pull at the end. Thank you so much, Pisces, as always, for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. Bye, Pisces.